Hello and welcome to the course, Alternative Authority Content. And in this course, we are going to be discussing how you can create content without having to literally use text on a WordPress blog or without having to really do website writing. And you may have a passion and you may already have connections inside of a niche, but you just may not necessarily find that writing is the best way for you to communicate. And so you want to be able to create the kind of content that is going to allow you to be positioned as an expert. You want to have the kind of content that is going to attract people to eventually buy your products and services. However, writing is just not the way that you'd rather communicate, but you do understand what content does. And so you will likely want to have a blog as home base, but to actually use your content, you can actually create content in other ways to build an audience. And you can do it in a way that builds your strength. And we're going to be talking about some of those things in this course. Now, in some cases, you can exercise the authority content model using audio. And we're going to be talking about some very easy ways for you to be able to do that. You can also use video, and you can do it in a way that really does work in the very same way, and in some cases even better than actual writing or blogging. You can do all audio or all video, and it can work just fine in terms of attracting people into your marketing funnel. Now, the most important factor in your authority content model is going to be your revenue. And what do we mean by that? Well, you will want to understand how the content that you're doing feeds people into getting them in position to buy. Ultimately, when you're looking at this, you want to try to figure out what you primarily offer. What is it that you primarily sell? If you offer a service, you're going to want your audio or your video, your alternative content, to direct people into your marketing funnel until they're ready to make their purchase. If you sell a product, you'll want your audio or video content to direct people to find solutions to the problems they're having or the principles that are going to help them accomplish their goals. Now, you can use some combination of shows and education. Now, by shows, we mean something like a television show. But in case you're looking at what do we mean by a show online, you might be thinking about a podcast. You might be thinking about a web-based show that you might see on YouTube. But anyway, a show or education in the form of a webinar or a subscription. And in those cases where you are actually subscribed and you get every episode of a particular person's content, or publications. I mean, you can use any combination of those things in order to draw your target customers in. And once they're inside of your email marketing list or your social media network, or even in some cases they're subscribed to your content, you can then use that connection to market your primarily product or service. And what you want to do basically is to make sure that people are connected to you and that they are going to get every piece of correspondence that you're going to be sending out, regardless of how they've chosen to connect. And what we're going to be talking about in this course are the different ways in which you can do that. What are the ways that you can do that other than writing content in order to get people in position so that they can hear from you and be ready to buy? So as you start out this course, consider what is your strength, what is the way in which you create content best, and then take a look at the different options that you are going to have that we're going to be talking about, and then get started creating content and doing so as an authority. And we will be talking about and addressing that also. So with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back to Alternative Authority Content. And in this video, we're going to be talking about creating expert content. Now, there are several ways for you to use the audio and video medium in order to create expert authority content. Now, one of the ways, of course, you can do that is to create all of the content yourself. Now, what that means is that you are going to be the one to have all of the expert experience, because you're going to be teaching people or you're going to be explaining to people whatever the subject matter is from your perspective. And so You need to have a broad base of experience in the particular niche or in a particular area, and you're going to need to come up with the topic areas. And typically, this is going to be an area that you encounter different problems on an everyday basis. You're going to be encountering the different questions that people have. And so you want to be able to do that, and you want to be able to do that effectively, consistently. So if your show or your podcast or your videos are on a daily basis, of course, you'll need to have lots of experience and you'll need to know a lot about the particular niche. Now, one of the ways that you can bridge that gap, if you don't necessarily have all of the experience that you'd like to have inside of the niche, is you could purchase or borrow the experience. And you can do that by purchasing private label rights content, which allows you to basically publish that content inside of your own particular medium, whether it's video or audio, and use it as your own. And there typically is in lots of different places inside of internet marketing where you can actually purchase this content. You can actually purchase private label rights content. If you do a search in Google for private label rights content, and let's do that right now, you'll see that there are lots of areas where there is private label rights content that you can get in order to, again, supplement your knowledge or for you to be able to borrow the expertise of others. Now, in this particular case, if you were looking for a particular area, let's say that you were looking for content on weight loss, you could find it, and all you'd have to do is search for it and check out the different vendors that are available. And there typically is private label rights content in every area. In this case, we could type in alternative energy. Maybe that is the area in which you are seeking to become an expert. Right? So what you're doing is you're basically purchasing this content. And typically, one of the things about private label rights content is that it is fairly inexpensive for you to be able to borrow the expertise of others and to be able to get the article content or to get the content that you're going to use in order to create videos, in order to create presentations, in order to create audio content. And one of the other things you can do is you can have experts appear as guests to provide the content. So in other words, instead of you having to provide all of the content, one of the ways in which you build a position where you are an authority is to bring the experts that actually have basically the frontline experience. And you're basically going to have those guests present their content in a fashion where, again, they're probably going to end up being the only one presenting in your medium. So instead of you being there with them, they're going to be the one on the podcast. They're going to be the one in the video. They're going to be the one inside of the Google Hangout. And this is a great way for you to build an authority position because you're basically going to be giving people the opportunity to be presenters in your audience, to your audience. Now, another way that you can create content that's related is you can collaborate with those experts and co-create the content. So in some cases, you can actually have someone on your show or you can have someone inside of your podcast and you can have a discussion about a particular topic. And what you're doing, of course, is you're working with the expert to create the content. This is, again, a great way for you to be able to build on and gain in some cases, the audiences of the actual expert, as well as giving your audience great content. You can, of course, interview experts and create content. So you can actually be inside of the video, or you can be inside of the audio, and basically you are asking your guests questions that you know that will help them to draw out the topics, to draw out the knowledge that your audience is actually going to need for that particular topic that you have opened up with a particular episode. Now, there are two ways or two keys to creating this kind of expert content. One is you want to bring in experts with an existing following. So whenever you go and you get someone, you want to have someone who basically can bring with them people that would actually attend your show or attend your podcast or listen to it, because this is how you build leverage. This is how you build out your authority. You actually are borrowing the authority of others. You are piggybacking on their authority. You're bringing them, not only are you bringing in the guests, but you're also bringing in their followers, their attendees, or their listeners. The other key is somehow adding to the conversation. So in other words, you don't want to do topics that everyone else is talking about. In some cases, what you want to do is to add to the conversation. So you want to take a new angle, take a new approach, take a new spin. You want to be, to add something new, but something relevant to what people are really looking for. And in some cases, it helps to be able to bring in guests who can bring a little controversy, people who are going to take a position, even if it's not necessarily the one that you agree with. Bringing someone in who already has a position, already has something that they can add to the conversation, that they can take a position that's different from everything else that's out there. This will bring people to your show. Now, you have to be careful, of course, with controversy. You want to make sure that at the end of the day, that it really adds to your authority. That bringing this person in really does make people more loyal to you at the end of it, even if, again, the discussion is not going to be something that everyone else agrees with. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back to Alternative Authority Content. And in this video, we're going to be talking about what you'll need to get started in order to create audio. Now, if you can create content that engages prospects and customers verbally, you may fare better than writing if you decide to use audio to do your content creation. Now, you are going to need a few basic tools in order to get started using audio. Now, you'll definitely want a computer mic and headset and or a USB cardioid microphone. Now, these items do not have to be super expensive. If you do a simple search inside of the Amazon website, you'll notice that there is a Plantronics audio, I think it's a 628. You'll see that it's a general headset. This is just fine to be able to create audio using your personal computer, whether or not you use a mic, a Mac, or you use an actual PC. Now, if you should decide to move up from getting a headset with noise cancellation, you will want to move to a cardioid microphone, and you'll notice there that the cardioid pattern really does some noise cancellation because of where the actual pattern is, where the sound is going to be coming from. So it's not going to pick up everything, and in general, it's going to leave out a lot of the background noise. And so a cardioid microphone is typically one of the great ways for you to be able to get a relatively inexpensive mic, yet keep noise canceled. And there are a number of cardioid mics available that you can actually pick up, once again, that are relatively inexpensive. If you don't want to spend if you want to spend a little more than you would if you spent for a headset, you can move up in the quality and you can get something that's relatively inexpensive. Now, you are going to need a way to capture audio into your computer, and typically you can do that in a couple of ways. One of the ways you can do that is using the program Skype. If you are capturing interview content, you can use another program that's actually free on the internet, and it's called Audacity. And I'll show you what that is right now. Audacity can be picked up using a simple Google search. You'll see it right here, Audacity Search Forge, and just downloading the program onto your hard drive and being ready to use it will actually allow you to capture audio onto your computer. And it's fairly simple to use. All you'll need to do is just hit the record button while you're actually talking, and you'll actually see some of the sound coming on, and then when you're finished recording, you can actually hit the pause button or the stop button. Now, of course, you can buy premium software. You're actually going to be using this software when you create video too. This will actually help you with your audio. It's called Camtasia Studio if you're using a personal computer or PC. There is also ScreenFlow if you use the Mac. Both programs are fantastic for you to be able to use to create and edit audio. And the editing process is pretty important. So yes, you will want to have something to edit. You can actually use Audacity in order to edit your audio too, which is pretty intuitive and pretty simple. You can actually take portions out that you don't want. So again, not too hard to use nor to edit, although again, the premium programs are much better in doing that. Camtasia, ScreenFlow, and even another program called Sony Vegas. Now these programs can be a little pricey, and you can often look for them on places like Amazon or eBay, where they're going to be a lot less expensive. Now, once you have these basic tools, you will be able to create basic audio to create authority content in a niche. And if you already have your content, you have your content source, which is either your knowledge or your experience or perhaps private label rights content, all you'll need to do is to start recording your audio and make sure it's edited for whatever medium that you want to put it in. And then you will then be ready now to get started creating authority content using the audio medium. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back to Alternative Authority Content, and in this video, we are going to be talking about creating a pre-recorded audio show or podcast. Now, one way to create audio content is to create a podcast show. And when you think about a show, we're thinking about it in the very same way as you might be thinking about your favorite television show or your favorite radio program that comes on at a specific time, at a specific point during the week or during the day. Now, typically with a podcast show or an audio show of any kind, you are going to be pre-recording the audio and uploading it to some place in order to host it. Now, to increase the amount of exposure that you're going to get to your show, you want to make sure that your show appears in iTunes. This is probably one of the largest or the largest repository of audio content in the form of a podcast. Now, this is done easily with some of the more popular audio hosting repositories, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's take a look at iTunes for a second. And you can see here that if we just did a simple search and looked for iTunes podcasts for weight loss, right, you'll see a number of results. You'll even see here that as of December 2014, there was a listing of the 19 best health and fitness podcasts of all time. So you can see here, iTunes is a very popular place for people to be able to put their podcast, again, for them to get the exposure to their brand and to whatever it is that they have to offer. Now, when you do your podcast, what you're going to be doing, of course, is you are going to be making your audio available on a regular basis on a website or in an audio repository. Now, we've used that term a couple of times now. So what do we mean by audio repository? Well, one place that you might have even frequented or you might have even seen already is called SoundCloud. And while there are a number of musicians that use SoundCloud, it's for more than musicians. As an entrepreneur, you can use SoundCloud in order to create audio content. And all you'll have to do is to go here to create an account, and in the same way that you see this, and let's just, for the sake of argument, let's just type in weight loss. And as you can see here, there are people that are creating content specifically for their particular niche and weight loss. So you can use SoundCloud as your repository to upload your audio and to hold it so that people can either listen to it on SoundCloud or you can actually link to it from your website. Another place where you can actually listen to audio is called Stitcher. It's another place where you can actually upload your audio. As you can see here, Stitcher can be found using a simple Google search. You can then go into Stitcher, and you can actually sign up as a content provider, which is what Stitcher calls their partners. Another location for you to put your audio would be a website called Spreaker, which actually comes with a built-in advantage because not only does it come connected to iTunes, but it also comes with a connection to iHeartRadio, which is actually inside of many automobiles as well as terrestrial radio. And Spreaker can be found with a simple Google search. You can go inside, and you'll see here that Spreaker is designed for you to create your own podcast or radio show. Right? Fairly simple to use once you already have the equipment that we've talked about that you need to have to get started. And podcasting can be now a very effective way for you to get your content in front of a number of people that you might not have been able to do so just a few years ago, because now iTunes and iHeartRadio is available inside of automobiles. And you're seeing this being discussed in a number of different places online. Now, if you're looking to create your content or your podcast audio using interviews, there are a couple of easy ways in order to do that. One of the easiest ways to do that is to record the audio using Skype. There are a number of Skype recorders available, one of which probably is the most popular, called Pamela for Skype. There's also the program Vinegar and the program Ecamm for Mac if you're still looking to use Skype. The other way to do it is to use a website called freeconferencecall.com. And on freeconferencecall.com, all you're going to need to do is to have your interviewee call in. And then when you have your interviewee call in, freeconferencecall.com will actually produce the MP3 for you that you can use to upload to the various services that we have been talking about. So it is possible to pre-record your audio content to then upload to one of the repositories and then make that audio available to anyone, whether or not they're watching on your website or listening on your website or listening on social media. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back to Alternative Authority Content. And in this video, we are going to be discussing creating a live audio show. Now, you can create live audio content for your audience, or for those people who you hope to follow you, or those people who are looking at you as an authority, by using websites like Blog Talk Radio. Now, Blog Talk Radio actually has live audio, as you can see, and the topics can be varied. Some of them are on business, and others of them are just popular culture. So you can create your own live audio or live radio show here on Blog Talk Radio. And in that respect, what Blog Talk Radio allows you to do is to be able to broadcast your content. And really, the application is really meant for people to do their own talk radio show. Now, you are actually using it again to create authority content. You're looking to get people into your marketing funnel, and it really works the same way. One of the great things about Blog Talk Radio is that it automatically connects to iTunes, and that's really a great advantage to you as a content creator. You don't have to do any of the connecting. You don't have to go through any of the technical aspects. All you have to do is really show up to Blog Talk Radio and do your show, and with a few simple clicks, you can actually get your show connected to iTunes. Now, the Blog Talk Radio facility makes calling in with live conversation very easy for you as a creator. So in other words, you can actually have someone call in and be a guest on your show. You can have people call in and respond to your guests. You can have people call in and you can actually have 2 or 3 people call in. It's a great way of being able to create content with an alternative of being able to have people to call in on the telephone and to interact with them on your actual recording. Now, in many cases, the radio shows, or we would actually call them posts in this case, since we're talking about authority content, that are optimized for search, and they can actually appear in queried results. Of course, depending on the optimization, depending on what the search term is, you can actually find, as you can see here, some of the Blog Talk Radio shows winding up in the search parameters when people are actually looking for particular content. Now, you can use a limited version of Blog Talk Radio for free, but the main, or probably the most popular, the most popular instance of using Blog Talk Radio, or the basic using, does cost actually $39 monthly. And it is there are other levels, right? You can certainly do the free level, or $39 or $99 or $249, but it's probably best, if you're going to do this, you probably want to check it out. really kind of test it to see if it really fits your style and if you're going to be able to do it on a regular basis, and then maybe you can then consider moving up to one of the other levels. Now that basic charge allows you to do, or the $39 charge allows you to do a 3-hour show at any point in time during the course of the day. So you don't have to worry about being crowded out of your time. The $39 actually allows you to have premium or have priority access to the Blog Talk Radio studio in order to create your live audio. So again, this is a great way, very easy way for you to be able to create authority content, for you to be able to appear in the search engines, for you to be able to have and call in guests, and to create content while you are actually doing interviews or even talking to experts about certain subject matters when you are on your Blog Talk Radio show. So with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back to Alternative Authority Content, and in this video we are going to be talking about creating recorded video as your authoritative content. Now, one of the ways to do and create authoritative content is to do so with video, in particular using YouTube. And since YouTube is now considered to be the second most popular search engine used on the web, it is a very good place for people to be able to place their content in front of people who are actually looking for a particular subject matter. So if you have content that's how-to, or even if you have content that's going to be of interest inside of your niche, YouTube is a great place to put it, and pre-recording the video and uploading it is a great way to get your authority in front of people. Now, the key to being able to create content is to make sure that your post, in this case, which would be your video, is optimized, or it's made so that people can find it when they're actually searching. Now, what does that mean? That means then that your title, your tags, and your description to your video are done to entice others to click on the one hand, but on the other hand, it must be created in a way so that people can find it inside of the search engine or inside of YouTube. And you can see that very easily when you go to YouTube and you actually type in a particular phrase. Maybe you might type in your keyword. And in this case, what you'll see here is what's called YouTube Suggest. And YouTube Suggest takes a look at all of the most recent searches inside of YouTube, and it suggests what people can actually find when you start typing in the phrase. So if you think about this from the perspective of someone who is inside of YouTube looking for information, you need to make sure that your tags and your titles and your descriptions make it so that someone who is looking for your particular subject matter, as they are in this particular case, can find your videos. For example, the person looking for weight loss motivation can find this person. If you look here, you'll see here that they're using weight loss motivation in the title. Right? And this is the kind of work that you'll want to make sure that you're doing when you want to use YouTube so that people can find your authoritative content. Now, this kind of pre-recorded video is very easy to do if you have a laptop or you have a mobile device that allows you to record video, or a webcam on your video. You can actually record straight into the YouTube facility. You don't really even need any software. You can literally go right here inside of YouTube and you can capture the information on your webcam, or you can capture your video here. And as you may have noticed inside of the same screen, YouTube actually provides you with a YouTube editor that you can use if you're unhappy with certain portions of the video that you have recorded. That YouTube editor is conveniently located right inside of the same screen, where you can actually take the video that you've done and you can actually edit it or cut something in or out of it that you actually don't want. Of course, you've already seen in the very same screen that YouTube offers video creators the opportunity to create content using images and audio. And you can actually use images that you already have uploaded inside of Google. So if you want to turn your slides into photos and you want to actually have them play in your video, you can actually use them here inside of YouTube. And you'll find them inside of the photo slideshow area. as well as the import photos area. So pre-recording video is fairly easy whether or not you have your own equipment or you like to use the equipment that YouTube has embedded inside of their software. You can certainly do that. What you want to do, of course, is you want to make sure that the content you're presenting is already ready ahead of time. This will allow you to, again, deliver content to people who are looking for what it is that you're presenting on based on the searches that they're doing in YouTube. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back to Alternative Authority Content. And in this video, we are going to be talking about a certain kind of authoritative video, creating screencast video content. Now, this kind of content is actually very popular with marketers because you can literally show people what's going on your screen while you narrate at the same time. It's very effective in being able to communicate concepts. It's very effective in being able to show things that are technical in nature. Now, this kind of video content is going to be advantageous to you, especially when you've got to do something where you need someone to look over your shoulder and to follow you. And for you to have to explain it over and over again would be ineffective. However, it becomes the kind of content that, again, positions you as an expert when you are able to explain to someone how to do something that would be extremely difficult otherwise for them to do and understand on their own. Now, it's especially helpful in creating authoritative content when you use your PowerPoint presentation slides. As a matter of fact, the video that you're watching right now is created with PowerPoint presentation slides. It's also a screencast video. So as you can see, it's a powerful concept for you to be able to literally dictate to the viewer what they can accomplish by watching what it is that you do. Now, in some cases, you can choose to do a screen share video while appearing in it at the same time. And just so that you'll get an idea of what this looks like, let's take a look. And as you can see, it's a very popular thing for video creators to be able to do, to be able to appear in their actual video. Now, of course, to be able to do a screen share video, you will need some kind of software that does accomplish this. And we suggest that you take a look at Camtasia Studio, which was mentioned earlier, as well as ScreenFlow for Mac. Now, there are other substitute screen share programs. However, these two are the gold standard, and they allow you to both edit as well as create, and they also give you the option of being able to create audio at the same time. Now, whether or not you're talking about Camtasia for the PC, you are talking about a pretty stiff price tag, as you can see here. You're also talking about pretty much the same thing when you're looking at ScreenFlow for the Mac, depending on what your budget is. Now, there are some substitutes that you can use until you're able to get these programs. There is the program Screencast-O-Matic that's available, as well as another one which is called Cam Studio. Once again, you probably ought to consider these as substitutes until you can afford to get either Camtasia or ScreenFlow, depending on which system that you are using. Now, one thing to be aware of is that some marketers are actually using Google Hangouts to record their screen sharing videos. And now, when you do that, though, what you need to be aware of is that there is a second step. You are going to need to download that video from YouTube, and then you'll need to edit it either in YouTube or in some other program. But the screen sharing function is available inside of Google Hangouts. And as you can see, it's a very popular function to be used inside of Google Hangouts in many cases, and many marketers are actually using it, as well as many video creators who use Google Hangouts in order to create their videos. So creating authoritative content using video does not require you to appear on screen. In fact, you can create videos where you are showing what it is that you're presenting. You can show what it is that you are doing on your computer screen, and you can literally show whatever you'd like to from your PC. That means then that creating video can be whatever you want that will get your customer or your prospect to take action or to give them the information that they want to position you as an expert. What's most important in a screencast video is that you are prepared before you start and that you edit it appropriately so that your viewer will understand what it is that you are communicating and that they will want to see more of your content. In most cases, you'll want to make sure that your video is around about 5 minutes or less so that you will not strain people's attention span. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.